Hola, hola, buenas a todos. Os voy a explicar la siguiente actividad de educación plástica de primero. En este caso es la página que tenéis en vuestros libros, la número 65, sí, la número 65, ahí lo veis. Y es un poco el último ejercicio de este tema que hemos estado trabajando, de dibujo de formas y de luces. Y vamos a hacer el ejercicio tal y como nos lo plantea el propio libro, ¿vale? Entonces, as you can see, the title of the activity is the expressiveness of light. Okay, so we are going to try to represent or to design the objects, the volumes attending to the light. Okay, and I'm going to read it. The expressive capacity of an image may change depending on light and shadow. Okay, so you are going to complete these 4 designs of the apples. Here you have an example, and you are going to do the activity, each of these designs, thinking of how could be light, how could be the shape, the shadows, depending on where you place the light. Okay, so here you have to think, how could this apple be designed if I had a light here placed on the right? Okay, so here on the right, or on the left, or frontal, or in the backlight, in the back. Okay, so for example, I'm not going to do all the activity, okay, I'm only explaining it, and I would like you to think of it and to imagine how could this be, okay? But to do this, I have chosen one soft pencil, black pencil, okay, and then a couple of red pencils in order to design the apple, and then this light brown in order to design the table where the apple is placed. Okay, so I have to think of the light on the right. Okay, so you have to imagine that your light comes from here. Okay, what does this mean? This means that probably this part of the apple is going to be very light, okay, because the light comes from here, so it's going to reflect that light and it's going to be very, very, very light, probably even white, okay, but this part of the apple, okay, the opposite part from where the light comes is going to be dark. Okay, so you have to use the techniques with the pencils that you've been using all the year with the gradient in order to pass from this black, this dark, to this light with many different grays. Okay? Okay, and you have to think, this is the shadow, the form shadow, ¿vale? La sombra propia de la manzana, and you have to think also of the shadows that can produce, that can reflect the apple over the table. Okay, that would be the cast shadow, la sombra arrojada, la sombra de la manzana sobre la mesa. So in this case, if you have that light, it's probably, I could imagine that it would be something similar to this. Okay? Okay, that could be the beginning, and I would like you to complete the activity with colors, okay? With colors. Okay, you can use, for example, these two reds for the apple, and you can combine them. Maybe this part of the apple can be drawn or designed with the lighter red, okay, and the other part with the darker red, and maybe there's a point where you can have both. Okay, and over the table, you have to fill it. Please finish the activity with the background, in this case the table, and you have to fill it with a color, okay? You can choose any color you want. I have chosen this brown, and there's one thing that I would like to point to, and it's that, as you can see, I am coloring also the part of the table where was the shadow. Okay, don't forget to do that, because if you don't, you probably are going to find that this part of the table where you have designed the shadow is going to be as if the table was white instead of brown. And if you have decided that the table was going to be brown, you have the brown on the table, and you have over this brown, you have the shadow. Okay, you have the black of the shadow. Okay, so this with the light on the right, okay, this is very similar. This is very similar to this. Light on the right. Okay, if you have the light on the left, you probably are going to have this part of the apple lighter. You are going probably to have the shadow on the right, okay, and you can complete the design as a very simple symmetry, thinking of the first one, okay. If you have the light on the front, okay, so you have to imagine that I have the light and I am going to point to the apple just straight ahead, okay, just in front of it. So probably you are going to have this part of the apple very, very light, okay, almost white. And in the borders, you probably are going to find that the apple is darker. Okay, and what about the cast shadow? Okay, it's going to be behind it. Okay, so you probably are not going to see too much shadow here, but at least you can design or define a little bit, so you show me that you have understood how this light works. Okay, and what about if I had the light behind the apple, okay, on the back? How could I design this part of the apple? Okay, if I have the light just on the other side, this is going to have no light. So probably this part here and here, of the apple is going to be very, very, very dark. And in the borders, maybe there's some light in here, and you can pass from this part that has some light to this part that has no light at all, with a gradient from light to dark, to shadow. Okay, and what about the shadow on the table? Okay, you have to imagine it, okay? So, I don't know, maybe something, I'm going to find it here. If I have the light behind it, I'm going to find the shadow before the apple. Okay, so please finish the activity also with the backgrounds, and try to design these apples thinking of the volume. Okay, the volume. Think of the spheres that you have already designed, and thinking of where is placed the light. Okay, and that should be the activity finished. Bueno, espero que os haya quedado claro, ¿vale? Estos 4 dibujos idénticos de un volumen, en este caso se nos propone una manzana, hechos con lápices de color, dibujando con degradados de claro a oscuro, de oscuro a claro, según coloquemos la luz la ponemos aquí a la derecha, en el otro a la izquierda, se van a aparecer mucho, delante de la manzana, detrás de la manzana. Según coloquemos la luz, vamos a tener una distinta iluminación, esto es obvio, y una distinta forma, colocación y situación de las sombras que definen esos volúmenes y que nos indican dónde está colocada la luz, ¿vale? Si la luz viene por la derecha, pues tendré la sombra que tengo sobre la sombra propia en la manzana, pues del otro lado de donde viene la luz, por aquí, sobre todo por aquí, y una sombra arrojada sobre donde tenga colocada la manzana, en este caso pues he decidido que sea una mesa, pues si la luz viene por allí, la sombra pues caerá por acá. La parte más oscura de nuestra figura pues debería de ser esta parte de aquí. ¿Vale? No os olvidéis de que la actividad, yo no quiero ver aquí manzanas voladoras, por favor, no me gustan los objetos voladores. Dadle un contexto, en este caso el contexto es una mesa y dibujadlo, ¿vale? Lo dibujáis. Quiero que dibujéis también el fondo. Y lo que os propongo, lo que os digo es que cuando dibujéis la sombra, la dibujéis, yo os recomiendo dibujarla por encima de la textura o el suelo de esa mesa. No dibujéis la sombra y luego coloráis la mesa y la sombra no la coloreáis y entonces, pues qué casualidad que justo en el trozo donde había sombra la mesa era blanca. Eso queda raro. ¿Vale? Bueno, espero haber aclarado un poquito la actividad. Creo que es más o menos sencilla, que tenéis todo suficiente capacidad para realizarla súper bien y que con lo que viene en el libro pues seguramente ya os hubiera valido. Pero bueno, si os puedo ayudar así, pues mejor que mejor. Un saludo, hasta la próxima. Adiós.